Hello everyone, this is Ashwin again. How are you doing? So in this video tutorial, we are going to understand what overriding is, and we are going to see how to override methods in Python 3. So let's get started. So method overriding is a type of polymorphism. So polymorphism means the ability to assume various forms. So as you can see, polymorphism is the standard feature of most of the modern object-oriented programming languages like C++ and Java. So in the context of object-oriented programming languages, so the ability to behave differently according to the different types is loosely called as polymorphism. So there are like various ways polymorphism is implemented in object-oriented programming languages. Method overriding is one of the types. How the object-oriented languages express the property of polymorphism. So method overriding is nothing but an object-oriented programming construct that allows a subclass to provide a different implementation of a method that is already defined by its superclass or by one of its superclasses. So let's see the hands-on example, because this is mostly whatever we have just seen is mostly theory, and unless we get into hands-on, we will not be able to understand truly what method overriding and what polymorphism is. So let's have a look at a simple example. So this is the class person. As we know, like implicitly it is derived from the class object. Okay, and then there is a class employee. The class employee is derived from class person. So let's write the init method. Let's define an init method for class person. Okay, let's set init, and this is self, comma first, last, and age. Okay, so first and last stand for first name and last name respectively. So just say self dot first equal to first, self dot last equal to last, okay, and self dot age equal to age. Now let's define an str, a special function known as str, a special method known as str. Sorry. So str will return the string for that class. We are also going to see how to use str. Okay, so just return self dot first plus self dot last, okay, and self dot age, str of self dot age. So this is the definition of class person. So we have defined two methods, init and str. Now let's see how to use these methods. Okay, so let's say x equal to person. So let me provide a name. It's my name and my last name. Okay, let's say 31 and print x. So whenever we are going to put x enclosed by brackets and gonna call it by print method, print function, so it is going to call this str method implicitly. Okay, so we don't have, there is no other way to call this str method explicitly. So let's now run this code. It should run and give us the output. Okay, so now it is returning the desired result. So it says Ashwin Pazankar, age 31. So now, as we already know that the class employee is derived from class person, we can also use the same methods for class employee. Okay, so let's say y equal to person, and let's say employee, employee, and let's change the name of employee. So we will have like two different completely different set of objects with different values. Let's say James and Bond. Let's assume that James Bond is 40 years old. So let's say print Y. Okay, so now let's execute the code, and it returns error. So I know where the error is. So we have just said employee, so E has to be capital. So let's close this window, the shell, and when we are going to run the module, it is going to reopen the shell, so we will get the fresh results. Okay, so here you can see Ashwin Pajankaran 31 and James Bond and 40. So we are getting these results. So as you can see that the first result corresponds to the class person, and the second result corresponds to the class employee. Okay, so now let's redefine the methods init and str for class employee. Okay, so let's say sal, because mostly all the employees will have salary. Okay, so that is an additional attribute that almost all the employees of any organization are going to have, so no one is going to work for free. So let's say sal and sal. Okay, and finally we will add another thing, str self.sal, and so here we are going to add a salary. Okay, so let's say he works for $1,000 or euros, and okay, so this seems good. Let's execute it again. So run module. Okay, so correct. Now it prints the correct result. So for see, it returns the name and age of for the object of class person, and then it returns name, age as well as salary for the object of class employee. So here essentially we are just adding an additional attribute, and we are then calling we are then processing that per a particular attribute. So as you can see that the definitions of the methods init and str have been overridden. Okay, so this is known as method overriding, which is a form of polymorphism. So now let's understand why we call it polymorphism. Okay, so essentially here the way we are actually invoking these methods. Okay, so as we know that init is nothing but an initializer method, so we are just like passing few parameters to it. Okay, so we are passing different set of parameters to the class person and to the class employee. Okay, so it is actually assuming various forms. Okay, the signature of that the methods is still same, because these both are still initializers only. Okay, also we have that definition of class definition of method str. Okay, so the way we are invoking these methods, like by using print, it's same, but they are actually behaving in a different way for different objects. Okay, so now this print method, okay, when we are going to say print x, it is going to only print the name, last name as well as the age of the person. But whenever we are going to say print of y, it is behaving in a bit different way. It is printing name, age, name, last name, age, and in addition to that it is printing the salary. So this is how the methods are behaving in a different way when they are actually invoked for the different objects. Okay, so that is known as polymorphism, and this particular type of polymorphism is known as method overriding. Okay, so now we can even simplify these things. So there is a keyword known as a super keyword. So if you are actually familiar with C++ or Java, then you must have actually worked with this keyword super. Okay, the super keyword is used for invoking the initializer of the parent class or the base class. So we can now use the we can now modify the code to include the super keyword. Okay, so let's now modify this code to use the super keyword. Okay, So let's see first. Now all this code, okay, these 3 lines of code is already present in the first the initializer of the base class. So if there is I am just wondering if there is any way to call these to reuse these 3 lines of code, or if there is any way we can call the init method in the init method of the child class. Okay, so super provides us that way to make that call. Okay, so let's say super, and now you must have noticed that it is changing the color, okay, as soon as we are done typing it. So this it means that it's a special or reserved keyword. So let's say super and init, and now let's have the parameters. Okay, so let's say first first, last, and age. So now this completes the call to the parent, the init method of the parent class. Okay, so now what we are doing is we are actually using super to call the init method of the parent class, and then we are using the same properties as of parent class. Okay, so we are actually providing it, we are passing the first, last, and age, and then we can also use super for this thing. Okay, so let's say super dot super dot str. Okay, so this is how we are calling super. Okay, so the output is going to be the same. The only thing is that we have actually saved a couple of lines of code, and we have actually made our code more readable, as well as we have actually reduced the number of lines of code, and essentially we are actually reusing the code itself. So we are actually using these 3 lines of code, as well as we are using these lines of code, so we do not have to repeat ourselves. So whenever we are going to say super dot init, then it is going to call these 3 lines. Okay, so all these values, the first, last, and age, will be assigned to self.first, self.last, and self.age. Now anyway we are deriving class employee from the class person, so class person is also going to inherit by default these three fields. Okay, so the same is with str method. So whenever we are going to say super dot str, so it is essentially going to call this method, which returns the first name, last name, and the age converted to the string, the concat of all these terms. Okay, so this will replace this in the during the execution. So let's execute this module. Okay, let's save it. Okay, so now as you have seen that it returns the same output. It returns the name, last name, and the age of the object for class person, and it returns the name, last name, age, and salary for the object of class employee. So this is how we use super. So you might be wondering that if we have to use the super in the very beginning, like all the other object-oriented programming languages. In Python, it is not like enforced very strictly. We can even use super like this. Okay, so if we are going to use super like this, it is not going to make much difference. So it is not like dependent on the order when we are going to call it. We just need to call it, and it automatically replaces. It automatically calls the code within this method. So let's run this code again, and as you can see, the output is exactly the same. Okay, so this is how we use method overriding. So we have in this tutorial we have learned method overriding, and we have also seen how to override the methods. We saw like what polymorphism is, and we saw that method overriding is a form of polymorphism. Okay, so we also saw how to use the super method to call the methods in the parent class or base class from within the methods of the child class, okay, or derived class. So This is the introduction to method overriding. In the next tutorial, we are going to have a look at um, um, more features of inheritance in object-oriented programming in Python. Thanks a lot. Also, do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more exciting videos on Python programming.